The amazing Dr. Betty Martini, who's been battling the battle of toxic, I call it the sweet taste of death by Satan. And we have experts. In fact, Dr. Millstone's article, we can't get him on right now, but we have his article here. I want you to read off some of the prescient issues, because I have it already posted up ready to go today. As soon as the show's over, we'll have that article up. People need to understand that Dr. Millstone's one of the major researchers on this, a very hard scientist who faced the ugly music that the regulatory agencies are not looking for the best interests of the public. Tell us about this summary, Dr. Betty.
Well, basically what he said was that the authorities in the USA and the EU have treated reassuringly but inadequate studies as if they were reliable, but discounted all the worrying studies as if they were unreliable, when they have mostly been far more careful, thorough, and reliable than the reassured studies that the authorities have preferred. He said the preferences and choices of these authorities have served and are serving the interest of the food, drink, and chemical industries, but they are betraying the consumers who they're supposed to protect. But I'd like to add to what he said to you, because he also went against the European Food Safety Authority for doing this back in 2013.
Are you talking about the Codex Alimentarius? You're referring to the Codex?
No, this was whenever a lot of bad studies come out and people are complaining, they get the authorities over there to do a review.
Right.
Well, they had one on the Commission on Food, and we knew that it was going to be, for industry. But they were reported to Olaf. Olaf is the people over there. They're called the anti-fraud people in Europe, and they go after anybody that commits fraud having to do with things like this. So what happened was they found out that there was no committee that decided aspartame was safe. There was one person. They wouldn't say who that person is, but we assume a flag for industry. And what they did to him, I'm not sure, but immediately the Commission on Food became inactive, and they set up EFSA, which is the European Food Safety Authority. And when they did that, here we go again. And we knew that they wouldn't do the right things. First of all, we have fought with them on the Ramazzini studies that were done by Dr. Civilized. And the Ramazzini Institute is probably one of the most famous independent cancer institutes in the world. And Dr. Civilized did not do one study on aspartame. He did 3, saying that it's a multi-potential carcinogen.
Right.
So here they came, industry trying to get EFSA completely disregarded. The studies were so prestigious that Dr. Civilized got an award that's only been given twice in history. And I know this because it was given in New York, and I was there with him. And
wow.
So
amazing.
What they said was the rats were sick. They had respiratory disease, and they put this information all over the world. And Dr. Civilized came back and immediately said, of course the rats had respiratory disease. This was a lifetime study because people normally get cancer later in life, and respiratory disease is the dying process, and the rats were dying. That's not all he said, but they kept up against EFSA, which went along with him, but the head of the committee, Dr. Herman Coder, resigned, and he said to the press, we were pressured by industry to hijack science. So you know what was going on. So when they did this review, we sent them all the different independent studies, all of them that are independent, almost 100%, have been showing the most horrible things you can imagine. Let's see, the last one is the one showing that it depletes neurotransmitters, serotonin, 74%. One of the articles said the study has shown that is contributing to the end of humanity. I don't know if anything could get worse than that. Prior to that, there were a couple of studies that showed strokes and Alzheimer's, and you're seeing dementia everywhere. I mean, even Trump forgets what he's saying, and he's drinking 12 diet drinks a day.
Yeah, well, that's
but
one of the things we've got to do is get Trump to stop drinking aspartame, because these, by the way, the jelly beans on the desk of Ronald Reagan when he got his cancer and dementia were aspartame laced by Rumsfeld. Do you know that, right?
Well, I know that he was using it, and I know that he came to Atlanta, and I read the article by the Atlanta Journal and Constitution because I live here. And so they asked him, was he still using it? And he said no. He said there are things we know today that we did not know then. And for those who know how aspartame got approved,
right.
It was President Reagan helping Don Rumsfeld by writing an executive order preventing the FDA from signing the Board of Inquiry report that revoked the petition for approval because it couldn't be proven safe and it caused brain tumors and brain cancer. So all of the different presidents, of course, have been using it. You may remember when President Bush fainted and he said it was due to a pretzel. And I know that he was using it. Not only that, I wrote him back when he was governor in Texas, and I sent him everything, and he wrote me back a note and said, I disagree with you. I have a difference of opinion. And that's because it's so very addictive, and they get politicians on it where they can't get off of it.
I like to actually shade that term. They have a difference of attitude. An opinion is called opine is a Latin word based on evidence and logic and get in a court of law. You have an opinion, he had an attitude. Attitude means it's non-scientific, it's based on emotionality and addiction. It's not based on facts, evidence, or logic, which is to opine or have an opinion. A lot of people have an attitude, they do not have an opinion legally, do they?
Well, let me tell you something else about these presidents. You have President Clinton, that's addicted to it. Hillary Clinton was addicted to it. And the interesting thing about Hillary, even in books about her that I've read, is that Diet Coke was her favorite drink. And I was lecturing in New Zealand in 2007, and I was asked to put our report for school that's on our website to fax it to her campaign office. Well, the thing of it is, as I was leaving, I realized that there were 6 campaign offices. And so I kept faxing it. It's 42 pages. I got somebody called me and said, too much paper. I said, I want her to read every last word of it. She's addicted to this. So when I came back, my husband said Hillary Clinton was on national TV and said she used to drink Diet Coke all day, but now she just drinks water, so she obviously read it. But that doesn't mean that she didn't get back on it, because as you've probably read, all the particular diseases that they said she's had are all the kind that aspartame causes.
Right.
So we've had, and President Clinton, Dr. Roberts, who wrote the medical text, actually had dinner with him, gave him 2 books, and said, you've got to get off the Diet Coke. And he didn't. And he went through just what my brother, who was a Green Beret, he was drinking it. It caused irregular heart rhythm. I said, Bob, the next thing that's going to happen to you, you're going to have a heart attack. then you're going to have bypass surgery. That is exactly what happened, and that is exactly what happened to President Clinton, and he was in a New York hospital, and I also faxed a note to his doctor. I faxed a note to President Clinton's office. You know, he wasn't president then, but they won't get off of it because it's so addictive.
Well,
and as you know, methanol is classified as a narcotic, so the methanol causes chronic methanol poisoning that affects the dopamine system of the brain and causes the addiction.
right.
And it took years to get my brother off of it. He ended up with a pacemaker. He was on so many drugs, it was unbelievable. And today, now that he's off of it, he's on no drugs whatsoever. But, of course, it's, you know, had its toll on his body. They had called me to, said he wanted to be buried in Oregon. And then Dr. Bowen went in there and went over to the VA and took away his Diet Coke. And they were so shocked at the difference in him, not allowing him to have it. They had a note over his bed, no aspartame. So
let me add another little shade of this, which you may or may not already know. You know that a fast is a good thing. People should have all of their food in the day within an 8-hour period. So I start having my ketogenic material, for example, after lunch. And I try to have my supper by 7 p.m. And you should not be eating after that. If you have anything, you have water, or you have we have a thing called Soleil, which is basically a berry-flavored or fruit-flavored with no aspartame, nothing in it, not even Zevia or monk fruit. And I tell people, I said, you know, what insulin does, and you have to understand that one of the primary things that aspartame does is drive your insulin into orbit. And then you get counter-insulin hormones, cortisol and glucagon. Glucagon makes your liver convert protein into sugar, but insulin stops a process called autophagy. It also stops your immune cells from killing off pathogens and fungi and viruses. So when you have high blood insulin, which is driven by high glycemic foods, because our diet in North America is very glycemically activated, a loaf of bread or a slice of bread now takes around 20 minutes to digest, called the white bread glycemic index, based on research I did with Dr. Otto Hewen back 39 years ago, developed by the people in South Africa and later by Dr. In California at the University of California. What we did is we did insulin glucose tolerance tests to measure the other hormones. But insulin itself is a toxin. And when you drive insulin into orbit with aspartame, you actually turn off your ability to get rid of old and damaged tissues, so your body starts to fall apart. You can't even rebuild your body when your insulin's into orbit. That's why we tell people a sort of semi-fast where you used to have 14 hours where you don't eat, or, you know, other than having water or fluids. You don't eat food. You have like your first meal at 11 or 12 noon, and then you have your last one at 7, and you don't have breakfast anymore. And I tell people, you know, they did studies on mice, and they found the same thing. Get the same number of calories even, and that's why, for example, aspartame is so damn toxic, because if you actually do people say, well, aspartame is good, it has no calories. Calories are not the problem. It's other hormones that are driven by aspartame, including dopamine. There's a dopamine analog peptide in the brain that's 50,000 times stronger than heroin, and it's actually released by aspartame. That's why it's so toxic. It creates an addictive potential because it affects the amygdala and the rage control center of the brain, and actually it's almost like having a little electrode in that part of the brain, the pleasure center. People say, I gotta have my head, I gotta have my Coke. That's what they're doing, isn't it?
Yes, I can understand.
That's why I like the little
exactly
picture
what's
that
going on.
I pulled up, by the way, on the internet, and I put it up on my show when I do our shows sometimes. I'll put up, it shows a shadow of like a ghost of Rumsfeld in the background. He has a young girl, and she's drinking with a little spiral on it that says Die, D-I-E. Now, it doesn't have the T on it. We took the T off. It's called Die Cola. Have your Die Cola.
This is what reminds me, you know, there have been 6 class actions against aspartame because diet soda actually makes you gain weight.
Do you have Have difficulty taking supplements? Are you searching for a high-quality, complete nutritional drink that your whole family will love? NutriMedical's Life Support has arrived. All of your daily nutritional requirements in one quick, delicious drink. Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support is a proprietary blend of vegan protein, activated vitamins, essential minerals, amino acids, probiotics, green tea, digestive enzymes, anti-inflammatories, cancer prevention, detoxification, and much more. Your body will high-five you for this one. Life Support is the best complete nutritious meal replacement on the market. Whether you are an elite athlete, have post-operative challenges, chronic illness, elderly, or a family that just wants a quick, delicious drink, try Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support for optimized nutrition in one great tasting smoothie. Just add cold water, almond milk, fruit, or anything else you like. NutriMedical's Life Support. Try our great tasting chocolate or vanilla today. Call 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com. NutriMedical.com for the whole family.
Legacy Emergency Foods is the top recommendation from Dr. Bill Deagle for the lowest oxygen concentration, the largest entrees, the highest amount of protein, the most varied entrees as well, and the longest food storage life. Nothing like Legacy Emergency Foods, and if you place a regular monthly order, you get 20% off and free shipping. Do get Emergency Foods for your supply for preparation, and get it from Legacy Foods. Contact Dr. Bill Deagle for the link at NutriMedical.com. Go to the Shop by Products link and drop down message at NutriMedical.com, and then place your orders for regular emergency food for yourself and your family. Nothing like emergency food if the power goes out and you can't go to grocery stores, or if there's an emergency or a national crisis. So NutriMedical.com, top recommendation, Legacy Foods. NutriMedical.com, go to the Shop by Products and drop down menu, and stay well with NutriMedical every day of your life. Lumen photon therapy, infrared light, far and near infrared, is extremely important for pain control, stimulation of nitric oxide, improved perfusion, and stem cell activation and reduction of cytokines. Dr. Bill uses it for pain control, for regeneration techniques, for organ regeneration, and for stimulation of your stem cell activity. This amazing lumen photon therapy this year will probably have an additional device with frequency therapy during the on phase of the lights. To obtain a lumen photon machine, contact Dr. Bill at NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. He'll prescribe it with you providing nutraceuticals to help with your regeneration, healing, and pain control. Nothing like the lumen photon therapy for easy therapy for your eyes, your pain, your joints, regeneration of organs, detoxification of the body. Get a lumen photon machine from Dr. Bill Deagle, NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. Stay well with NutriMedical. The Sonic Life Machine is one of the most amazing therapies that Dr. Bill provides. It is the best sine wave exercise machine on the planet, doing whole body vibration, opening up the muscle to reduce insulin resistance, improve perfusion, release stem cell therapy throughout the body, and epigenetically stimulate the body to release DNA activated. The epigenetic therapy with the sine wave curve of frequencies given for atomic resonance, but Linus Pauling for minerals and amino acids stimulates the production of messenger RNA to correct structural protein enzyme deficiency for almost every illness. There's nothing like the sine wave therapy for improving body healing for exercise, but also the epigenetic treatments Dr. Bill can provide can help neutralize frequencies for disease states and illness. Get a Sonic Life machine through Dr. Bill Deagle at NutriMedical.com. Contact us at NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871, or go to the website NutriMedical and give us a contact. Dr. Bill is available to help you get well with NutriMedical.
Need a powerful ally to fight daily bugs and serious pathogens? Allicin Med is the powerful universal pathogen killer's latest advance of German-sourced allicin, enzymatically stabilized to clear the body of bacteria, fungi, mycobacteria, and parasites. It penetrates body biofilms and is non-toxic to tissues. Pathogen resistance cannot develop for long-term body-optimized wellness. Clear stealth pathogens that promote autoimmune disease, cancer, and vascular inflammation and plaque and promote healing of tissues. Now pathogen-free. With 200 milligrams more power than prior Alamed, you can't get a more powerful ally to fight daily bugs and serious pathogens. Give your body what it needs. Allicin Med. Order Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutridyne at 888-212-8871 or NutriMedical.com. That's 1-888-212-8871 or NutriMedical.com. And listen to the NutriMedical Report on the Genesis Radio Network with open lines every weekday. NutriMedical.com, bringing nutrition and medicine together.
And welcome back. And Dr. Betty, Dr. Millstone, do you have any other points you want to mention? Because I've included a lot of his article here. Quite extensive, actually, article and text in here, of course, about the number of studies. 81 studies were identified that prints the prima facie indication of harm. Okay, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is, and I left out one comment when I was beginning to tell you what was going on with EFSA at the time, that I want to make people know that what EFSA did is, rather than I began telling you about all these terrible studies that are coming out, even raising fasting blood sugar, we get people off of it, and they found out they're not even diabetic.
Right.
But what they actually did is EFSA plagiarized an industry review that they were using to defend aspartame and put it out that it was perfectly safe.
Really?
Nothing wrong with aspartame. And Mark Gold of the Aspartame Toxicity Center actually reported that to Olaf, and then I reported to them that there was a conflict of interest because half the staff, had worked in the industry that had to do with aspartame. There was no way that they were going to make an honest review. And Dr. Millstone has been there since the beginning. He's in England. He's a fine scientist. I met him in England when I was there lecturing. And one of the most important things is that these original studies were never, ever found to be safe, which is why Rumsfeld got it on the market. And I happened to be in touch with Jana Marie Kennard, who actually was hired by G.D. Searle to shred all those studies, so that nobody would ever see them. They were so bad. And it turned out that Jana Marie's father is a doctor, and he's done studies. And since she was a little girl, she used to go around and feed the animals with him when he was going to medical school. And she understood studies very, very well. And she told me, she says, I never knew who to tell this to. But every single study put out by G.D. Searle was not only not proven safe, but it killed everything it touched.
Whoa.
And then,
so in other words, they actually had evidence right in their very eyes that they not only ignored, they actually miswrote their documents, lying to the public and other scientists about the nature of their responses to the study.
Yes, and I'll tell you an interesting thing. The 60 Minutes did a story on this, and they were talking about these pivotal studies. Well, they couldn't even, G.D. Searle could not even get those few 12 or 15, whatever it was, studies, any of them, to show safety. And one of them was it was a 52-week oral toxicity study on 7 infant monkeys. 5 had grand mal seizures, and 1 died. They actually used that as pivotal, and they did not mention that even on 60 Minutes. And one of the men, it may have been the FDA commissioner, it's been so many years ago, that was done back in 1996, was saying, oh, no, there were no brain tumors. And, of course, it caused, that's why they wanted them indicted for fraud, because the brain tumors were so frequent that what they were doing is they were excising the brain tumors from the rats, putting the rats back in the study, and then when they died, they resurrected them on paper. And that was just one of the reasons they wanted them indicted for fraud. And an interesting thing is that one of the men who fought so hard in the FDA for it not to be approved was Jerome Bressler. And we actually have his report on my website, www.mpwhi.com. And so I called him to thank him for doing the Bressler report so people would understand, why they wanted them indicted for fraud. And Jerome Bressler did not know me at all. And the first thing that he said was, Betty, something was missing from our report. And I said, well, yes, I did. And he said, you've got to find these. There's people out there drinking this stuff, pregnant women, and they do not know what this causes. And at the time, I didn't want to be the only one in the world to know it, so that I called Dr. Russell Blaylock and Dr. H.J. Roberts, and they called. Dr. Roberts went so far as to write his congressman who wrote the FDA, who wrote back and said there are things that we can't, that we just can't reveal. So I still didn't know what it was, and then I began to correspond with with Jerome Bressler, and he was put in a nursing home. He was getting up in age, and I went and saw him. I even brought a reporter from the Chicago Tribune, because Jerome Bressler says they need to go back and do this whole thing over. This is a deadly poison that is mass poisoning the world, and the Chicago Tribune ought to do it right. Well, when she was there and she was taping a conversation, it was interesting. He didn't go into a whole lot because he was very ill, but he was saying that the studies were so bad that Dr. Adrian Gross, who is the one who told the Senate that aspartame caused brain tumors, brain cancer, and that therefore it violated the Delaney Amendment. You couldn't set an ADI, for safety. And if the FDA violates its own law, who's left to protect the public? That's in the congressional record on my website, that aspartame is illegally on the market. And Jerome Bressler was telling the reporter the studies were so bad that the GD Searle would lock their doors. And he said Dr. Adrian Gross would stand out in front and would said, if you don't open your doors, we're going for a court order. So I have spoken to the very people that were there.
Wow.
And saw what was going on. So, and Dr. James Bowen, who has Lou Gehrig's disease, he wrote him and said, this is mass poisoning of the United States and over 70 countries of the world. Today it could be 200. And if you were to get on Google News, for 24 hours, you would see all the ones on how we're going to expand the business. So
let me add a factoid here. Let me add a factoid here. When you see all these Democrats meeting last two nights on Detroit to talk about the dirty green agenda, which they all push, I guarantee that aspartame is part of it, to reduce the population, to reduce fertility, to cause premature death, because that's what they want. People need to understand, when Searle closes his doors and locks them, when we have corruption inside the government of this extent, where Bressler comes out and says this, this is not just, as Dr. Walton tried to pretend it wasn't a few weeks ago, this is just greed. It's evil. The word live backwards. It's evil. This is not just greed. This is evil, isn't it?
Well, there's something even evil that's going on now that I don't know what it is. I have written the FDA, but I was surprised to see an article that says, thanks to FDA's promises, keep in mind they didn't say what it was, the aspartame industry will be able to even get bigger.
Oh, my.
Words similar to that effect. So I wrote the FDA and asked them what they were up to now. I said, what are those promises? Aspartame has to have a PKU warning. You're putting it in all these products that are not labeled. And for 3 days, I've laid on the couch because I ate something that had aspartame in it unlabeled. You know, it was given to me in the hospital, and then you're chemically hypersensitive, and you break out in urticaria, and you get a terrible headache. And this is what happened to me for the last 3 days. So you don't know what you're eating, and people that, you know, are PKU, and as Dr. Bowen says, it is not just, you know, for people as far as PKU, phenylketonuria,
Right.
He says it causes phenylketonuria. And they don't even know if a child has it until the baby's born and they do a heel stick. But, and on top of that, you know, most of these pregnant people use yogurt that's just full of it.
Right.
And
well, I think it does.
Know,
I think what you're saying is it does epigenetic gene silencing. See, people don't realize you don't have genes, you also have epigenes. And if you have a deficiency of a nutrient or if you have a presence of a toxin like this, it shuts off genetic pathways, so you get gene-induced epigenetic phenylketonuria sensitivity syndrome. And people don't get this. They don't realize that the epigenes of the population are being destroyed on purpose to reduce IQ, reduce fertility, reduce human lifespan. They don't want humans around 100 or 200 years. In fact, there's 18 populations that live 100 times more centenarians that have indium to turn on their genes, produce structural proteins and enzymes. That's why we have my product that I've developed called Indium Me. And we're Red Deer Velvet, the first patented product in the world for life extension. But the fact is that the globalists want life shortening. They want IQ shortening. They want fertility shortening. They want transgender. They want one sex and 63 genders. They've actually stated this in the United Nations. And aspartame isn't just a peripheral thing. It's, again, advantame, a new incarnation. It's Splenda, which is an optical isomer of sugar. And you get cross-reactivity. If you have a if you have an aspartame sensitivity, Splenda will cause a recall of the aspartame sensitivity syndrome, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, when you're talking about all this transgender or homosexuality, what worries me is that aspartame is an endocrine-disrupting agent.
Right.
Just like pesticides. So it can cause homosexuality.
Right.
And you know, one doctor wrote an article and he says, where is it all coming from? It's not normal to have this amount. And that is my opinion because it's an endocrine disrupting agent. I mean,
right.
That's what it does.
Right.
And of course, as you know, Splenda or sucralose, that was it was developed by an insecticide researcher, and I found it still being sold on a website and printed it out, thank goodness, showing it was still being sold as an insecticide.
You're kidding. So Splenda, which is an artificial chlorinated optical isomer of sugar, is still sold as an insecticide?
Yes, it was.
Whoa.
You know, they took it off as soon as I was on the banned genetic engineering list, and so I printed it out, and I put it on the list for them to see. I said, I want you to see that this is still being sold as an insecticide.
Now,
and I want to tell you, within an hour, they had moved it over to sweeteners. But there is an article on life after aspartame, and it tells the story. And it's on Google, and it's on my website. You can just Google life after aspartame - sucralose or something, and it'll come up and tell you how it was developed. And so I was talking to Dr. Bowen about it, and I says, you know, the other thing that bothers me is that we finally get people off of aspartame, and what do? They get on sucralose.
Right.
And I said, that's what's going to do to them. They're chemically hypersensitive, just as I am from the aspartame. And he said, well, they maintain the reactions of aspartame and pick up those of Splenda. And I really don't know of anything that is really safe except just like sugar, because it's made of organic food.
Just like sugar, and also
don't have any chemicals.
Stevia and monk fruit. I looked over all the research on it and all the articles on it. It's totally safe, stevia. Although the initial research back in 1985 tried to say it was toxic, probably because they thought of it as competition.
Well,
amazing.
Are you still looking for that one iodine that you can really trust? A medical doctor-endorsed product that is backed by honest research and true integrative science? Then search no further. Go to NutriMedical.com for Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutriodine, proven time and time again to be the very best iodine available for you. Nutriodine is the only Tesla-activated monatomic plasma iodine in the world. It optimizes mitochondrial function and generation of new mitochondria, from totally neutralizing the venom from a desert recluse spider bite in Southern California to eliminating malaria parasites reported by medical missionaries in central India. Dr. Bill's Nutriodine is simply the most powerful healing formula there is. Nutriodine clears the body of all known pathogens, restores it to an alkaline state, and even promotes stem cell regeneration. Order Dr. Bill's Nutriodine today at 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com.
Red Deer Velvet DR is an amazing new product with a patent to preserve 300 biomolecules and 6 hormones, same as fetal life, where you don't age at all. The state of fetal life allows the 300 biomolecules and 6 hormones produced by the placenta to be supportive of the regeneration of tissues and organs, with maximum apoptosis, changing the tissue and organ structure of a fetus. That's why if fetal surgery is performed, there is no scar. Taking 2 to 3 capsules twice a day with oncomycin, myco-D2, provides an amazing support for regeneration of any tissue and organ in the body, and even advanced stem cell therapy support treatment. Do get NutriMedical's Red Deer Velvet DR from Dr. Bill Deagle at NutriMedical.com, NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. Stay well and stay young with NutriMedical. Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M, of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations to referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com or 888-212-8871. At NutriMedical.com, we have the most amazing drinks with the best mouthfeel, highest quality bionutrient exposure to your body to heal and regenerate, and the most powerful persistence of nutrients to heal your body dramatically. We have Ageless, which makes you age less, which repairs your DNA, extends your telomeres, etc. We have Life Support that detoxes phase 2 detox pathways, glucuronidation, sulfation, and methylation pathway support. We have Glycemics that blocks the carbohydrate absorption and helps with diabetes or weight loss, and as well helps with people that are trying to build up muscle, using things like our special formulas from Dr. Wolf called Mega Muscles between meals along with Sports Energy Light. We have the amazing NutriComplete, the most complete red and greens drink in the world, with the best mouthfeel and flavor. You can often mix it too with Vitamin Mineral Mix, which is our fruit-flavored mixed power of vitamin minerals. Stay well with NutriMedical every day. And welcome back, and Dr. Betty. Solutions, and I always talk solutions. People say, well, how do you know all the solutions? I say, well, I know the answer 11 to 15% of the time, but God provides me inspiration. And the course that we have up, and I'm going to post a separate link, is How to Win in Court. People need pro se litigant action. Don't just contact your politicians and so on and write to them. Start taking legal action against them and against the drug manufacturers and the bottling companies. And I think if tens of thousands of Americans took this $250 course, decided to proceed with legal actions against their politicians and the companies that are doing this toxic thing. And remember, it's not just toxic sweeteners of death, I call it, but it's also cotoxins, genetically modified food, 5G network, mineral-depleted soil because of bad soil management technology, and the use of pesticides that attach to these toxic chemicals and genetically modified foods more avidly that can create toxicity. Now, I'm developing tests. I will have them shortly. I can do a quantum test right now, by the way, with a Biophilia 2 or a Hunter. They can actually test for aspartame sensitivity even remotely anywhere in the world. I'm developing a test through, I think, Great Plains Laboratory, and I'm going to be talking to Dr. William Shaw, who's worked for the CDC. I'm hoping that I can actually work with them to get the test done there or at Meridian Valley Labs up in Willow outside Seattle. But I have a couple labs I'm going to present to them over the weekend a proposal to actually develop an aspartame and a splendid sensitivity blood test. And I believe we will develop that. It means that we can send a blood kit to you. You can test and see if you're sensitive to any of these sweeteners. And by the way, if you don't stop the exposure to these things, you're going to cause brain cancer, infertility, transgender disturbance in your sexual pathways in your brain, accelerated aging of your brain and other tissues, and premature diabetes, death, and vascular disease. This is not very funny. This is all by design, and the globalists behind it, they're not just greedy. They're evil. They want to kill you and ruin your health before you die prematurely. People need to grasp this. And it's not just aspartame and Splenda and Advantame and many other name products. I'm extremely sensitive to MSG. If I have it, I again don't sleep. Even if I take a truckload of things that would stop a white rhino on full charge, and the only thing that helps to stop me it is my Lumen Photon pad, my 180 pad. People need to understand this. This is the end of the game for the human race. This is an end game, isn't it, Dr. Betty? This is not just like, we're talking about spiritually here. This is an end game to actually stop the human race cold in its tracks before we get life extension, extended health, and before we have the majority of the population over 100 years of age. That's where we're going, isn't it?
Yes. First of all, the CDC has admitted that for the first time in 100 years that lifespans are going down. And excuse me, there is something else that I didn't get to mention. I think that's very important, especially about pregnant women. When I was talking to you about the letter that came from the FDA that told Dr. Roberts, and incidentally, he's the one that wrote the medical text, Aspartame Disease and Ignored Epidemic, is that she said the studies are confidential. I want people to know that I did get them. It took me 8 years to find them. But they need to know what they showed and why they didn't want anybody to see them. They showed neural tube defects.
Right.
They showed spina bifida, cleft palate, and Dr. Monty, who took it to the Supreme Court and who you had on your show, wrote the book While Science Sleeps, The Sweetener Kills. And his last chapter tells how the FDA made a deal with G.D. Searle not to let these studies ever be known, to seal them.
Well,
and
by the way, I'll add a little factoid here. When you have neural tube defects, it means it has an antifolate ability to block 5-methylfolate reductase. So it has many, many metabolic effects. We don't have the full long list of it. But we know if it's causing neural tube defects, it's antifolate. Please continue.
Well, his last chapter is on the internet. You can Google it, aspartame and autism, rense.com, and it also tells how his house was blown up with him in it because he just would not stop telling people, do not use this. And he was from Arizona, and it breaks down at 86 degrees. In fact, there was, yesterday I had to fight with a front group because I guess they had read Dr. Millstone's report, and they were putting something on the internet as if when it broke down, it was still safe. Also, I want to tell you that there is, in Dr. Eric Millstone's report, talking about the committee, and they said aspartame is safe when consumed at currently estimated rates of consumption. I want to know why it's safe, if it's a biochemical warfare weapon, if it causes autism, MS, lupus, sudden cardiac deaths, Alzheimer's, and all these horrible, horrible diseases that fill up Dr. Roberts' medical text.
Let me fill you in on a fact you may or may not know. Do you know we had a lot of aspartame-laced drinks given to our troops in Gulf War I and II? Do you know that? And they sat outside in tarmacs, outside at over 85 degrees, which means it was broken down in the can itself, which not only had aluminum toxicity, but also the aspartame broke down to methyl alcohol and formaldehyde in the can.
I know, I wrote the report on it.
Right, and so people have to understand, when I took care of troops, they not only had depleted uranium, we call blue fire exposure of depleted uranium, they also had aspartame exposure from these drinks, because they had shipped over the bottling companies to the troops tons and tons of aspartame that was kept literally outside at over 90 degrees temperature, which means it was going to break down. Oh, that's an OMG moment, isn't it?
I'll tell you something else that you may not know, because I didn't even know. But I happened to be in Costa Rica and ran into military intelligence. And, of course, wherever I go, I give out information. And this man said, thank goodness I just came back from Afghanistan. And he says they're all sick. And I said, well, are they, drinking diet drinks? He said they are being given by the government these little square containers of aspartame because they're drinking a lot of water. And they're putting it in the water, and they're all sick. And he said, I go around every day telling them, it is not the water making you sick. Stop putting the aspartame in the water.
Wow.
And that's what was happening in Afghanistan.
My. And the thing is, you'd want to have competent troops working and doing their job. They're actually making our troops sick, and they could care less. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's just, the stories I've heard in the 30 years I've been doing this, and as you know, we have operations in 46 countries.
Right.
And all of it's come forward. All the informants have come forward, and the things that are being done, it is so unreal. It's like the Twilight Zone.
No, people will ask, why do you have the last show of the week on with Dr. Betty? The reason is, what you put in your body, whether it's good things like NutriMeds and our technology, or bad things like aspartame, Splenda, Advantame, MSG, and genetically modified food, determine whether or not you're going to have physical health. And without a physically healthy body, it's hard to have a physically healthy soul in relationship with the Creator God. And remember now, America is apostate. The churches are the largest, according to Pastor Butch Pa, as we had him on yesterday, the largest impediment to the truth. Because a personal relationship with God means you have to honor your body, and your body is the temple of the Creator God. And you can't put in a temple something toxic like this and expect to have a good relationship with the Creator. You can't.
Well, there's a scripture on it. Do not defile the body. And when you fill the body with formaldehyde, I can't think of anything that defiles it more.
Right. Well, I'm going to play a little Screw Tapes letter again. Lord Satan, they're putting aspartame in the drinks in Afghanistan for the troops. We've seen them when they had the bottled water for the Gulf War I and II. And our troops got not only depleted uranium, they got exposure to aspartame that broke down to methanol and formaldehyde. Oh, Lord Satan, we're so happy we're destroying the health of the troops as well as the Americans and people in 70 countries. Now it's even cheaper than sugar. And they're still not stopping it. They're trying to close down even EFSA, the European Food Safety Agency. They're doing such great evil. I'm so pleased, Lord Satan. We have many minions on earth that call themselves believers, Christians, or even scientists, and they're all our liars. They're part of our liocracy, aren't they, Satan? Aren't they? The liocracy, I call it. Do you like that?
Well, I'll tell you what, Dr. Bill, September is Aspartame Awareness Month.
Right.
And I hope that during this month that people will start writing, and all the different companies, and including the drug companies that know. And
and they're putting in generics now, right? Into the chewable tablets.
Yes, they are. They are. And I want to tell you how greedy they are. You'll love this. I was using something that was taken off the market or discontinued, and my my doctor says, I'm going to give you this this medicine, and it had a long name. And he gave me a company, and the company says you can't afford it. And I said, well, why can't I afford it? They said, well, you have Aetna insurance, and Aetna only pays us $3,900 a month. I said, well, for a few pills each month, if they pay $3,900, how much is it? They said $7,000.
Whoa.
I said, well, what if you accepted Aetna? They said you'd have to pay $900 a month. I said, well, are you aware that $7,000 a month is $84,000 a year? They said, well, if you're poor, we can get it for you on a program for $3. This is an old drug back from the 70s that probably cost $10.
Right.
And the drug companies are so greedy. I was on a radio program one day, and they said to me, you know, why do they put aspartame in drugs? Right. I said, well, it makes everybody sick, and then they can sell more drugs. He says, I know that. I just wanted to ask.
Actually, I've changed the name of aspartame. You like this name? You'll want to put it in your little directory. It's called Fries Your Brain. Do you like that? Instead of aspartame, called Fries Your Brain. Fries Your Brain.
Well, you know, Dr. Blaylock, and incidentally, you were talking about MSG. You know his book, Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills, is on MSG and aspartame. And he has a cartoon in it with somebody frying hot dogs on the top of somebody's brain. And you know, that's his reference to aspartame. Yeah. That's exactly what it does.
And by the way, they're cotoxins. If you're sensitive to MSG, you're going to cotoxically react to aspartame.
Yeah, because it has not only, it has an additive effect and a synergistic effect.
Right, a multiplicative effect. Yeah, so you have some aspartame-laced soda with chips or a dip that has MSG, it's going to be cotoxic and multiply the effect. And then if you put the cell phone on that side of your head, you increase the risk of a brain cancer or an eighth cranial nerve tumor by 300%. Duh! I mean, don't you understand this, people out there? And by the way, once in a while I'll get somebody who's a knucklehead who tries to pretend that they're an expert and they don't know anything. I had one guy by the first name Popeye, and he disagreed with your opinion, my opinion. If this was true, they'd all be dead in the streets. I'm thinking, listen, Popeye, get a life, okay? You don't know anything. Realize you're completely devoid of common sense, logic, evidence, and decency. And if you want to learn something to protect you and your family from future annihilation or health problems, listen, pray, and act. Stop acting like you have a right to an opinion. You have a right to an attitude. An opinion requires evidence, logic, decency, common sense, and a love of the Most High God and His creation, which is our brothers and sisters in every nation. Thank you, Dr. Betty Martini. Back next week. We'll hope to get one of your experts like Dr. Monty back on the program. Amazing show. Thank you, and pray for us. And the sale is on. The code is SUMMER. Save 7%, including a Lumen Photon. Ask for a free consult to get started by 888-212-8871, or just contact us at NutriMedical. I answer it 7 days a week. Take care, take action, and pray for us. We'll pray for you. It's a good deal, isn't it? Become part of the NutriMedical family. Find the truth and find the Most High God. As they say, fill your cup with praise. He'll fill your cup with faith and heal you in your body, mind, and your nation.